Uncharted 4 is the best finale in gaming history, not because of its impeccable graphics or addictive combat, but because of how beautifully it sends off one of gaming's most iconic characters. You see, Nathan Drake has a problem. He can't keep a happy ending. Throughout the series, we see Nate shift from a selfish thief to a selfless hero, only to fall back into his old, dangerous habits by the next installment. Uncharted 4 seeks to solve this problem permanently by ridding Nate of the obsession that keeps drawing him back in. The way Naughty Dog crafted this character arc isn't just good, but is what I consider one of the best narratives in the gaming medium. Today, we'll be breaking down the hidden genius of Uncharted 4.
You know what? I don't want it. Really?
Uncharted 4's introduction is the longest in the series, taking around 2 hours before Nate properly starts his hunt for Avery's treasure. But that time isn't wasted. Instead of rushing into the adventure, Naughty Dog shows us something we've never seen before: Nathan Drake trying to live a normal life.
How do you make it go?
And it's during this time where the game quietly sets up the central conflict. The chapter begins with Nate scuba diving to recover a sunken semi-truck. I don't think it's a coincidence that this section mirrors Nate's introduction in the first Uncharted. Back then, it was Surf Rancher Drake's coffin. Now, it's a bundle of copper. Back then, it was an ensuing shootout. Now, it's mandatory paperwork. Any other game in the franchise would have skipped this monotony, but Uncharted 4 forces you to sit through it. It's boring, mundane, and the first sign that something is missing. But my favorite moment on the ship comes from this collectible. It's such a small detail that could have easily been missed, but it says so much. Watching Nathan Drake, the ex-treasure hunter, pocket a worthless arcade coin just to feel something from his past shows you everything you need to know. Nathan hasn't changed, and once we get to his home, this becomes impossible to ignore. We begin in Nathan's attic, which is filled with items he's collected from his previous adventures: an ancient Tibetan statue, a Spanish gold coin, an old journal, all reminders of a life he's trying to leave behind, hidden away to collect dust. Nate tells himself he's let go of his past, yet his office is in the attic. He's living a normal life while keeping the past within arm's reach. It's a detail I hadn't noticed until my most recent playthrough. I mean, in a house that big, why put your office in the one place guaranteed to put you back into that world? Because he hasn't moved on. But what I love most about this section is how Naughty Dog uses music to show Nate's mindset. While walking around the attic, it's quiet, just you and your footsteps. But as Nate picks up these artifacts and reminisces,
One of the stranger things I've collected along the years.
music from the previous games begins to fade in. And just for a moment, you as the player feel what Nate is feeling: a longing for the past, the pull of adventure. The game uses your nostalgia to put you in Nate's shoes, and it works perfectly. There's something magical about it, like you were the voice in Nate's head calling for adventure. It's just such a great detail. The brilliant music design continues in the next sequence where Nate picks up a toy gun. Action music begins playing, and Nate is taken back to the good old days. He's no longer a retired treasure hunter. He's Nathan Drake again. Then, Elena calls him downstairs, and the music suddenly stops. The present literally rips him away from the past, and just like that, he's back to his quiet life.
Playtime's over.
This moment shows us everything. Nate wants that life back, but it cannot coexist with the one he has now. And once we move downstairs, these clashing identities come to a head. At first, everything is normal. Nate and Elena are enjoying a dinner and talking about work, something any couple would do. But then that music begins to creep in again, and Nate drifts away. Whatever was going on at that moment no longer concerns him. He's off somewhere, searching for his next treasure. The division between his old and new life slips for just a moment, but it's long enough for Elena to ask a question that the last two chapters have been building toward.
Hey, are you happy?
Yeah, of course. You?
And when that moment comes, Nate lies. But we aren't deceived. Every detail, the coin, the music, the distant stare, has shown us what he really wants. And it's this lie that he tells his wife and himself the rest of the game seeks to rectify. But Nate's internal longing isn't enough to make him break his promise to Elena. He needs a catalyst. He needs the one man capable of pulling him back into the life: his older brother, Sam Drake.
Yeah, I'm looking for my little brother.
It was a bold move by Naughty Dog to retcon an older brother for Nate, especially after a trilogy that doesn't so much as hint to his existence. Yet, before this playthrough, I've never really questioned it, and I think I figured out why. Naughty Dog knew Sam's inclusion would be a tough sell to fans, so they don't just use cutscenes to convince you he belongs. They rely on gameplay, and it works beautifully. The game's first few chapters are used to introduce Nate and Sam's relationship. It's a good starting point, but Sam still feels like new blood. He only starts to feel natural once they begin their hunt for Avery's treasure, because Sam is by your side almost the entire time. He climbs with you, fights with you, and even helps during stealth sections. And it's through this gameplay we get to hear countless conversations that make their history feel real.
All those years. It's the little things that you miss the most.
Like what?
The smell of fresh citrus. Riding the motorcycle.
After a few hours, you go from Nate has a brother to, oh yeah, that's Nate's brother. He's always had a brother, and I think Sam's presence throughout the game gives him a chance to feel as developed as characters that have had 3 games worth of screen time, like Elena and Solly. But why would Naughty Dog risk this? They may have pulled it off, but it was still a giant gamble that could have easily backfired. It's because Sam isn't just a partner to help Nate on his adventure, he's a mirror to Nate's past and a warning for his future. Sam's return to Nate's life is built on a desperate story. That Hector Alcazar, the Panamanian drug lord, broke him out of prison and that he now must find Avery's treasure to buy his life back. It's a compelling story, and it's enough for Nate to lie to Elena and throw himself back into the life of a thief. But as we later find out, it was all a lie.
And the guy who broke him out, Hector Alcazar, he owes him a lot of money.
Whoa, what the hell are you talking about, Nate? Hector Alcazar died in a shootout in Argentina like 6 months ago.
Sam was freed by Rafe Adler. He walked right out the front door, a free man. So why trick your own brother like that? Because Sam is completely blinded by his own obsession. He's convinced himself that finding Avery's gold is the only way to honor their late mother, who died before she could finish her own search. Just as Sam has his own family motivation, Nate is driven to find the treasure to save his brother's life. Or at least that's what he tells himself.
The biggest pirate treasure of all time is within our grasp.
I thought this was about saving Sam.
It is. But come on, it's both, right?
But they aren't the only ones who've had family ties to this treasure. In fact, over 200 years prior, Jonathan Burns set sail with Sam's exact same mindset, to live out his grandfather's dream of uncovering the lost pirate colony. And it's through the notes Burns left behind you uncover his slow descent into madness. In his final note, he speaks of all the men he's killed without a shred of regret, because he believes it was his destiny to uncover Avery's treasure, a belief Sam shares wholeheartedly.
And maybe we're just swept up in this fantasy, when instead we should be looking for a real way to save you.
I'm gonna scour this island inch by inch if I have to until I find that treasure.
Burns never found the treasure. He died alone, consumed by his fixation. It's a tragic footnote in the game's world building, but it serves a vital narrative purpose. It's the exact same fate Sam and Nate would have met if Nate hadn't learned to let go.
These are some of history's greatest pirates, and they all perished in an instant.
Nathan Drake is a legend. He survived being thrown out of a cargo plane, dangling from a derailed train, and has saved the world on multiple occasions. And it's through these death-defying feats, Nate has grown to believe he's untouchable, that no matter what situation he finds himself in, he'll somehow end up on top. His journey to Libertalia systematically dismantles this worldview. Early on his adventure, you can find a note from a pirate, Thomas Howard. It reads, April 1701. Let it be known that I, Thomas Howard, captain of the Dauntless, am a gullible fool. It started with the cross, a cryptic message from my old compatriot with a vague promise of paradise. I was skeptical, but the thought of living the remainder of my days at home, wondering what might have been, was too much to bear, and one does not ignore a letter from the king of pirates. I survived being marooned off the coast of Madagascar. I survived the attack of the East Indiaman Pembroke, but I will not survive this. Who could have imagined my deeds would bring me here, to die an ignoble death, so far from home? The parallels to Nathan Drake are chilling, a man who simply couldn't let sleeping dogs lie, a man who chose a myth over a peaceful life at home, a legend who pushed his luck one too many times only to realize too late it had finally run out. But Thomas Howard is just a piece in a much larger story, the tale of Henry Avery and his pirate utopia, and it's here that Nathan is finally pushed to leave his past behind. Founded by Henry Avery, Thomas II, and 10 other legendary pirate captains, Libertalia was marketed as a pirate utopia with a single promise: pool your wealth to escape the reach of civilization and live out your days free from interference. This is the exact same illusion Nathan Drake is operating under. He believes he can sneak away from his life, steal Avery's treasure, and return to his marriage with absolutely no consequences. But when Nate and Sam finally step foot inside Libertalia, they don't find a thriving paradise, they find a rotting ghost town. As you explore the ruins, the environmental storytelling paints a gruesome picture. The utopia crumbled because the 12 founders couldn't help themselves. They stole the shared wealth right from under the colonists, triggering a brutal civil war on the island. The everyday people who abandoned their families to embrace the life of a pirate died in the streets, slaughtered by the very legends they trusted. But the ultimate reality check is waiting for Nathan inside Avery's mansion. Nate steps into a grand dining room and finds 10 pirate founders still sitting at the table. They didn't escape to enjoy their riches. They perished, poisoned by Avery and Two in a grand demonstration of greed, only for Avery and Two to inevitably turn on each other as well. Here, Nate's illusions are completely shattered. He sees legends who believe they could escape the consequences of their nature. Men who thought they were untouchable, whose obsessions drove them to destroy everything around them. For 4 games, Nathan Drake has chased the thrills of finding lost treasure, but looking at those skeletons, he finally sees the true cost of the life of a thief. It isn't a life of grand adventure, it's a cycle of isolation and ruin. If he doesn't walk away right now, he is going to lose the only real paradise he has left, Elena. So he changes. He lets go of finding Avery's treasure and is ready to go home, to his real life. Even when Sam begs him to keep pushing forward, Nate is now strong enough to say no.
How long we been chasing this thing, huh? You and me. No offense to these guys, but they don't get it.
Actually, Sam, they do. They really do. Okay. Trust me, they've seen this kind of obsession before. Sam, we're not those kids anymore.
He has stopped chasing his past and is ready to embrace his future. But Sam's obsession isn't as easily broken, and when he inevitably tries to continue his hunt alone, Nate pursues him. What Nate originally used as a lie to protect his ego at the start of the game is now undeniably true. He is only here to save his brother. And it is this chase that leads us to the climax of the game, where the power of letting go is further solidified. Here we have the final confrontation with the 2 antagonists of the game, Nadine Ross and Rafe Adler. It's their dramatically different fates that further highlights the game's core message. First, you have Nadine, the owner of Shoreline, a private militia hired by Rafe to help find the treasure. But by the time everyone makes it to Avery's burning ship, she is entirely over it. She has seen countless of her men die and came to realize that no amount of gold is worth the trouble. So she cuts her losses and walks away. She survives simply because she has the maturity to let go. On the opposite side of the spectrum, you have Rafe Adler, a trust fund billionaire who inherited his status. And like a lot of Nepo babies, he has a deep-seated insecurity about it. He's desperate to prove his own worth, and believes finding Avery's treasure will do just that. And it's this obsession that leads to his doom.
I've had everything handed to me on a goddamn silver platter. I earned this. All of it.
You want the treasure, Rafe? It's all yours.
Rafe dies crushed by the same gold he pursued, buried by his own obsession, punished for his inability to walk away. But what makes Uncharted 4 such a monumental achievement in storytelling is not just how it ends, but the fact it lets itself end at all.
It's not gonna be easy.
Nothing worthwhile is.
In our modern media landscape, it feels like good storytelling gets shafted to squeeze every last dollar out of any recognizable IP. We live in an era where finales are rarely ever final, where spin-offs must be set up, or torches must be passed on. It's as if corporations have forgotten that what makes a story worth telling is the fact that it ends, that conflicts get resolved, that characters change. Naughty Dog resisted the urge to milk Uncharted, not that they aren't guilty of milking things. Instead, Uncharted 4 is focused on bringing Nathan's character arc to a definitive end, and everything we see and experience in the game is to complete that goal. Sure, there is an Uncharted spin-off, but there is little to no setup for it in Uncharted 4, and it does not detract from Nathan's ending in the slightest. Compare that to something like the final season of The Boys, where a large amount of the runtime is spent advertising an upcoming spin-off show rather than wrapping up plot lines. I know which I prefer. When we look at the game's epilogue, we don't see setup for Nate's next adventure. We see a man who is finally happy with his life. The voice that would beckon him for adventure is now silent, not just in his mind, but ours as well. Nathan has gotten his happy ending, and we have gotten our chance to say goodbye to one of the best finales in gaming history. And that is the genius of Uncharted 4. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. This took so long to make. And, if you have any opinions on what I said, put it in the comments, that's about it. Yeah, see ya.